Welcome to Conversations with Educators, where we bring educators from across the country to talk about topics like college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, and more. Let's get started. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Our 30 minutes goes very quickly, and we want to make sure we give our amazing expert team as much time as possible to speak on our topic. My name is Laura Miller. I am excited to be with you all today. I've been working with Test Down and Education Advanced. It's almost scary to say I'm in year 9, and the only reason why it's okay is because Max is in the same age range as me. He's been with us well, he's younger than me, but he's been with the team for 9 years too. And we love doing these webinars. We love bringing people together that are experts in the field to talk about specific topics. And I feel like this one usually hits everyone in some form or fashion. You're worried about missing accommodations and how to prevent them. So quickly, just so you know, we're going to introduce clearly our guest speakers. We're going to talk about accommodations, the risk of error, collaboration, systems, and of course, do some live Q&A too. So after I introduce my guest speakers, the Q&A or chat should be enabled. I'll stop sharing my screen and feel free to pop any questions in that and we will help moderate that. We are beyond grateful and thankful to have 3 amazing people, just people in general, and also experts in their field. We have Aaron and Kim from Lee County in Florida. They are district assessment coordinators. Aaron handles the elementary realm, and then Kim tends to handle the secondary realm, but they are a dynamic duo and they work very closely together in everything that they do. And then we have Sharonda Wharton, coordinator state assessments in Spring ISD in Texas, which is down in the Houston area. It is a large district, and she is phenomenal and amazing. And we're just grateful that they are here to spend some time with us. So I will stop sharing my screen. I will stop talking and I will let Max and the team give you some really great nuggets of information when it comes to accommodations.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Laura. So excited to be here. And I guess we'll start off with kind of that first question. So we took it a little liberty and we kind of expanded upon it. So what I would love for y'all to kind of touch on with the group is just, we know accommodations help students show what they truly know, but coordinating them can be really complex. And you've got data coming in from a lot of sources and you're trying to make sure the students receive those and that's communicated out. Do y'all mind kind of talking about that process, maybe where you've seen some errors, routines that you've built to help make sure that students receive those?
Sure, I'll start.
Go for it.
So my background is also in Florida. We call it ESE or special ed, or they're the king of acronyms, so they're all of the different things. And I would say, Aaron and I speak for each other a lot because we do everything together. But we find that a lot of times the biggest issues we have or the places we find error is things that are new. So students who are new to our district or new to our state, and my IEPs don't look anything like they do in Texas or New Hampshire or any of the other states. And then even within, if I wrote an IEP today, that doesn't mean everybody knows about it today. So if you weren't part of the team that was there at the meeting, you didn't know changes happened. And Florida, especially, we test year round. So we are constantly in a cycle of figuring out what's new, what's changed, what's different. That's our biggest that I see.
And I think one of the ways that we have been able to address that is a lot of transparency with that, making sure that we speak at the ESC meetings, making sure that we encourage a very tight relationship between our test coordinator and the ESC staff in their school for the exact reason of what Kim just pointed out. Excuse me. The other thing I would say that Kim and I dealt with a lot prior to Test Town was it was all on a human being, 100% on a human being. And human beings are different, you know, and how they approach their work. So with Test Hound, we have found that as with the program we use that houses all of our 504 plans and IEP plans is called Peer. And Peer feeds directly into Test Hound. And based on that, our test coordinators get alerts every single day about changes or additions or amendments, anything to the IEPs and 504s. And Kim does the majority of our training for Test Hound, and she does a phenomenal job of walking through process and procedure of you just can't click accept. And if you choose to do that, then you have to go back and you have to pull either the room accommodation report or the master accommodation report prior to testing. And you better be going through that and checking off that you have made sure that if you needed to activate an accommodation in the testing platforms, that you have done it. So we require the proof of that. If they are not going to individually go through them each time they get the alert of changes. And I will say the beginning of the year is hard. The beginning of the year, they get so many of those alerts that it's a little bit more difficult and they need time to use those reports to do it.
And in Spring ISD, we have similar procedures in place where we do definitely have a verification process that begins at the district level, where we do set deadlines when documentation needs to be received to the campus testing coordinators. But I think a lot of the errors or the human errors, because they have decreased over the past, Laura says she's been at Test Hound 9 years. So I'm thinking, you know, was it your first year when we started or your second year?
It was either the first or the second. You're about, yeah, 6 to 7, I would say, years in, which is awesome.
Yes, yes, see, and we, you know, have seen a dramatic decrease in the number of testing incidents as a result of the accommodations. And so, you know, you really just have to give yourself time. You know, if anyone that's a new CTC and you're trying to figure out your systems, you really want to give yourself enough time to plan, to think through all the processes, to build those relationships with all of your campus representatives so that you can make sure that you're receiving all of the documentation in a timely manner so that you're able to go through the verification and the check-in process and pulling those necessary reports that you're going to need to provide to your test administrators on the day of the assessment. And so because we do have a guide that we provide to our district and our campus representatives, that really does help with the planning process and ensuring that we have enough time for planning and we can decrease the number of testing incidents.
Okay, so I think what I've heard y'all saying is no one person can do it. It does take a team to get it together. So kind of getting into that, I guess, so maybe a question you can help if someone's kind of looking at this, you know, trying to start a process from scratch, it's maybe how do you keep that communication going? And sometimes like, how do you even get that started? What does that conversation look like? Yeah, when you're coming, because we live in the assessment world, and I will say we, because I was a district testing coordinator too. You know, how do you initiate those conversations? How do you keep that collaboration going?
For me, for spring, we have a process in place where our CTCs are required to train their coordinators. So if 504, RTI, SPED, the emerging bilingual or ELL students, they have to be trained, you know, and not just with the district, not just with the state guidelines, but they also have to be trained with district expectations. And they also need to set expectations for their campus, what systems they're going to be using. And so once they again, building those relationships, you have to talk to people. You know, if you don't have what you need, I need to get in your face and say, hey, I don't have my documentation. Hello, you are past the deadline. And so I encourage that, you know, but building relationships is going to be key to keep that ongoing communication going.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that Lee County in Florida, a whole different, state, is very similar in the process and the procedure of that. Kim and I do the training for Test Town directly with our test coordinators. And we, to your point, also put in our district process and procedures that are required, because that gives us those checks and balances. And of course, those relationships are important, not just about accommodations, but just in general, because testing is very stressful. And it's a lot of responsibility on everybody's shoulders when you're dealing with state statute and state law. And Kim and I do a weekly newsletter. And so in that, if there's things that we need to give reminders of, especially those few weeks of in-between times, when everybody has a little bit of an in-between time with testing, sometimes everybody wants to just take a breath and relax. Totally get that. But they've got to keep up with the alerts. They've got to keep up with what they're finding out to be ready to go. So it's not so burdensome when the next window opens. So in my opinion, systems and processes and very strict procedures really help everybody feel like they know what they're doing and what the expectation is. Kim, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it goes with relationships part too. And we kind of force on our TCs and test coordinators that they are not in charge of accommodations. They're in charge of making sure they happen, but they are not the expert. Don't pretend to be an expert in something you're not. Get a team, be able to have difficult conversations with, maybe because Florida is special and we have some accommodations that are allowable and some that are not. And you're the expert in knowing which ones are allowed and which ones aren't, but making sure that they're comfortable going to the people who are and saying, I don't think the student is using this when they take tests. Maybe we should revisit, and making sure it's a team approach, not just well, she told me that this. I think that's another part of the just collaboration that we make sure exists. And sometimes we have to step in and support them one way or the other. But we even at the district level meet with our district level ESE team to say, here's what we know, you tell me. How does this work?
So one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is if maybe you had a success story, and I kind of think, Kim, you kind of touched on a little bit there at the end, just sometimes that communication opens up the door for further collaboration between, but I was curious maybe if one of y'all had, or if each of you maybe had, no pressure, just a little success story about that collaboration, that communication. And really at the end of the day, and I'll get off, and Laura and I talk about it like our little soapbox. Testing is, at the end of the day, we want to make sure students can demonstrate what they are expected to, like to the best of their ability. And so doing this really at the end of the day is for the kids. Yes, it's testing. We have our requirements, but we want to make sure kids are taken care of. So that was a really long question. Sorry, Sharonda.
No, you're fine. No, I was just going to add that there's just so many moving pieces to testing, and it's so important for the person that's in charge of testing on that campus to have that support. And so while we definitely support our CTCs at the district level, we do encourage, even at our meetings, we meet with the principals, we meet with the assistant principals, we meet with the leads of the campuses, so that we can make sure that they understand what the expectations are as well. And to piggyback off what Kim was saying, as far, can I call you Kim? I just shortened
Yeah.
your name. You didn't say. To piggyback off what she was saying about, you don't have to be the expert, or maybe it was Erin, I'm so sorry, but you don't have to be the expert in everything. We just need to be able to know where the resources are, so that we can support our campus and provide them with the necessary information. So
Yeah. And to continue to piggyback on that with success, I think the thing that comes to my mind is a little bit more global as opposed to specific. But when we transitioned to this, the pressure you could almost feel come off of our test coordinators was palpable. It was just, they were always so nervous because it was a human process, and it was based on, what do I have access to? Who's communicating with me? Even when I ask, am I getting the correct information? And I think through a program where they literally can see every day, or run a report that gives them the accommodations that the students have on their IEP. Again, to both of your points earlier, that doesn't mean they're necessarily allowable on a state assessment. And that's part of that process and procedure. But for them to not worry anymore, or to have to make those phone calls way less often that something was forgotten, that was a success story for Kim and I. And we told that story to a lot of our higher leadership. On to Max's point, we're making sure kids get what they're entitled to show what they know, and we're not as worried about it anymore, because we have a much tighter system in place that takes some of the human error out of it, way more than prior. And to me, that's a huge success for our students.
And back before Test Hound, we used to use spreadsheets.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We have spreadsheets, and you indicate on the spreadsheet which accommodations the students supposed to, just a mess of things, right? And it just, so many issues can happen with the use of a spreadsheet. But we use Frontline or eStar here in our district, but and it also talks to Test Town. And moving to that has decreased the number of incidents that we have tremendously. I mean, this past year, we may have had maybe 2 or 3. I mean, it doesn't completely 100%, but remove it, but because things happen, right? But we just do not have the type of incidents that we used to have prior to us having the Test Town system.
I love hearing that. And Laura, I saw you smile. It makes us, I think, both our kind of hearts warm a little bit. And we've been in your shoes, and I just think what you've built for your schools and for your students is pretty amazing. Okay, so here's kind of our last question. So it's about kind of the processes that you've built. So I think you've each touched on this amazingly. So your systems and routines protect students and staff from that human error. It doesn't remove it completely, but you're putting in a system that can help make sure that's successful. So I think kind of looking at this, maybe how do you balance kind of, I think, and Erin, this goes back to something you said a little bit earlier, maybe balance trusting a system and staying personally accountable. Because yes, data's coming in, you still have to, you can accept it, like you said, but there's still that piece where you've got to make sure that that's still accurate.
I think a lot of that goes to the amazing job that Kim does with training. We do recorded trainings so that they can go back to them, and we'll just take small pieces of how to use Test Town to the best of its ability for a very specific reason. And Accommodations is one of those. And I know it's repetitive, but tight systems are very important. So when you talk to them about accepting their alerts, you just can't say that. You've got to explain what those alerts mean and the impact of them. Just accepting them doesn't mean you've done your job in what you need to know about them. And so that's when we talk about, when you do that, are you pulling, are you going through in that moment because you only had 3 and adjusting accommodations for those students in the testing platforms? Or are you going to pull the master or room accommodation reports later? And I think we try to funnel that. We start here and try to funnel all the way down to the moment that they're training their test coordinators, or their test administrators, excuse me, on what they can and cannot do and what accommodations are necessary. Kim, do you want to add anything about our process and procedure?
No, I think we're still new. I would say we're still new to Test Hound, and every year we kind of, once we're comfortable, we add one more thing. So last year we did you have to know the accommodations, all the parts. This year we said you have to give your test administrators the room accommodation because Florida's not super specific, right? We call it flexible scheduling, which means extended time, it means breaks, it means 500 different things, but we just call it flexible scheduling. So, and it's still, I would still say, because I'm not the most trusting person out there, I will openly admit that we still like want to check. And there are still times that we'll find that it's not quite matching what we thought it would say. So I think there has to be a balance in the like, trust the system, just let it go, and trust that you're gonna check the system and make sure it's going the way that it should be. And it's a learning curve. We still have test coordinators that want to go into every single IEP that they have and make sure that it says exactly what that says and all of the, and so we're working to make sure that they do trust, and that they know that when we say yes, it's doing what it's supposed to be, that they believe us. And it's this, I think I saw someone put in the chat, trust but verify. It's exactly that.
Thinking, trust but verify.
We try on our end to be the one to verify. We always encourage other people to verify what we say, but we remind them that we're usually correct. That helps.
We have very similar systems as far as the verification process. We do require for our CTCs to follow the verification process along with their coordinators, where, you know, they have to provide the CTCs with the list. I need a list of all your kids that's in the program. And then you need to provide the CTCs also with the official assessment document. And so that is their Bible. That official assessment document is that's it. You know, that has to be the document that we are following. And so we do check everything against the student's official assessment page to ensure that we're not missing any testing accommodations. And then they have team members who also go behind them and verify. If they find that there's errors, then they have to, you know, stop. They have to go back, make the corrections, and then they have to go back through that verification process, because we want to make sure we're not missing any accommodations. We don't want a student to not get what they need on their assessments. So, and then to ensure that the CTCs are receiving their accommodations, we send at the district level, we send a survey to our campus testing coordinators, because we want to make sure that they are supported and that they are getting what they need from their campus representatives. So we send a survey out to them for every test administration to so that they can just indicate yes or no, I have everything that I need. But if they don't have what they need, then our DTC, she will get involved in the situation and support them by contacting the campus or contacting the district level representative for that program, and having a conversation so our CTCs can get exactly what they need. So it's a simple survey. The survey just says, do you have what you need? Do you have all of the testing documentation? And that includes any supplemental aids that any designated supports or accommodations that the student is going to need to test with, they have to indicate if they have that. If they say no, then we're asking for specifics. What are you missing? And when they tell us what they're missing, then we take the next steps to help them get what they need. And prior to testing, like well in advance. And this is happening 2 weeks before the administration.
Awesome. I don't think I have anything else. I think there are probably a couple questions. Laura, did you want to
Yeah.
ask those real quick?
So I think people are interested in your resources because you say you have resources and not everybody, everybody likes to see what they have versus what other people are using. And so we did have a question. Are there any resources you'd be willing to share for your processes that you have used with CTCs and training slides? I'll just piggyback on that. Could you share what was on the survey? So if you all are comfortable with that and you don't mind just sending me some of that stuff, I can definitely get it out to the people that asked. And I think even we will have a list of everyone that registered for the webinar, and we can share that out as needed and requested. So again, whatever you're comfortable with, just send to me, and then I'm happy to get that out to everyone as well. Oh, please add me. Please add me. See, everybody wants, everybody wants,
Everybody wants all the things.
Oh, here they come. That's the reason why these are so great is because we're bringing people together that all do the same job, that all have the same challenges. And sometimes I think we all feel like a district test coordinator and even a campus coordinator can be on an island, right? You're just kind of treading water, doing things by yourself. And I think the beauty of this is knowing that everyone is in the same boat, trying to do the same things. And it doesn't matter if you're in Texas, if you're in Florida, if you're wherever you're living right now, the processes are just as challenging. We will continue to review all of these, all the chat too, and just make sure, I see some requests for checklists and things that we can help to. And so just know that we will review all that and get to you whatever we can. Really quick, because the time is flying, I do just want to share one last little slide. And first of all, thank our panel. Y'all are amazing. Every time we do one of these, I'm just amazed by the wealth of knowledge and advice, and these are just so beneficial. So thank you all for your time. We want to share from our company, from Max and myself and everyone you talk to. We want to help you be successful, not only with Test Town, but in everything you do in your job. Education Advanced houses the Test Town product. We also have a couple of others. We have Evaluation, which is a pretty incredible evaluation tool. Pathways, this is exciting. In Texas only so far, but will continue to grow. We are now sharing data from Test Town into our Pathways graduation tracking platform. And I'm just going to tell you, former high school guidance counselor, this stuff sent me over the edge. All of the tracking, trying to get kids graduated, all the things that we're checking off the list. And at least now our two products, it's pretty awesome, can share testing history data. So just know that's out there. For all of my Texas friends, I think Kim and Aaron just need to come. We're about to be having the Texas Assessment Conference in Austin starting Monday. I think y'all just need to come. Can you just take off and show up in Austin for a couple of days? You'd
They
have a
can do that
blast.
and then fly back for foil at the end of
Yeah.
the week, right?
Trust me, I know these two, they would have a blast at the conference. But we will be sharing more about Test Town and about Pathways and all of our products at TAC. We look forward to seeing everyone there. So make sure you stop by our booths. We have two, and it's going to be a good time. And just know our team is in here to the end to try to make the rest of your year as easy as we can. So thank you again a million times over to our panel. We will review the chat. We will send out a recording of this. I believe we have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And then also, if y'all feel like sharing any resources, I know you all three know my email, just send to me, and I can share out to the group as well. So I'm going to stop sharing and just check if there's anything else. Yes, the recording will be shared and people are coming to TAC. Yeah, Aaron and Kim, get on a plane. You just need to fly to Austin by Sunday, and we would have a great time. Okay. I will leave us at that. We finished straight up 30. So thank you again. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day and happy Halloween tomorrow.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
You have excuse to eat candy. Go eat it. Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Take
thank
care.
Thanks for joining us. If you want to learn more about college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Until next time.